We're having a raised bed garden workshop coming up, and so Wesley is going to construct some extra boxes for us. This was a project we did last summer with our kids camp and has been such a success on the farm that we are redoing it and teaching some local adults.
First, we're cutting out our 4-foot sections. That's going to be the end of them. And then we're going to be cutting out our 19-inch support legs, which is going to hold the top from the bottom. And these are our 4-foot pieces. We'll go ahead and lay those out so we kind of know it's about 8 foot apart. Just kind of ballpark it on how far apart they're going to go. See, then we put our 8-foot pieces together. We're going to go ahead and just kind of we laid extra boards on the ground to try to help square it up, so that way they're good and flat. We'll go ahead and drive at least one screw in each corner as we're building along, so that way we can measure it up square. You can delete, you can stop. All right, as we're moving on to the next corner, we went ahead and made sure the pre-drilled holes right here that we already drilled, so that way it helps with our screws lined up. Go ahead and set it together. Make sure the boards are good and even on the top. Go ahead and start a screw. See how far apart it is, so that way our screw doesn't stick out the other side of it. So you want to make sure it's a good and long 3-inch screw, but you don't want it to stick out the other side. And then we'll just tighten it up a little bit, snug it in there. So that way it pulls both boards tight. All right, now we're going to go ahead and put the last end on. See, we got it on another board, just trying to support it from being on the ground. Keeps it a little bit off the ground, keeps it good and square and easy. Again, matching the corners up. Going to go ahead and put one screw into it. That way we can hold it all together. Go ahead and install it in our pre-drilled holes. Make it a little bit easier for us. All right, and then on to our last corner. So again, we're just trying to make sure that both boards are good and even on the top. We'll go ahead and put our one screw in just to make sure that everything gets as good and snug together. Once all 4 corners are screwed in with one screw, then we'll go ahead and add a second screw. So that way all 4 corners have 2 screws together. All right, so what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and make, that was the bottom frame. Now we're going to go ahead and make the top frame right on top of the bottom frame. So that way both top and bottom are the exact same size. We'll make them, screw them together, repeat all the first steps on all 4 corners. And then we'll have the top and the bottom totally complete, even, nice and square. All right, so now we're starting on our 19-inch support boards, or vertical supports. All right, so we're going ahead and drilling them in the pre-drilled holes. Sometimes it takes two people to do it, make it a little bit easier. You can see we'll go ahead and work ourselves all the way around the corner, get all 8 boards on all 4 corners, held up nice and straight and tall. All right, so now we went ahead and put the top frame on, and you can see we're pre-drilling the holes before we screw it together. Go ahead and put at least 2 toenail screws in each corner, so that way the top is supported just as strong as the bottom. Using 3-inch screws, so that way they go up through it and pull it down nice and tight. And we'll move right along, just do 1 corner at a time. It should all be held up on all 4 corners. All you have to do is square it up. So you're just squaring it. It's the same size 2x4 boards. So you just make sure they're good and even, flush on both sides. Start with a good drill hole, and then screw it together. All right, so now we're going to put the middle support in, the middle vertical support. So that way we measured off, got directly in the middle, the same board. Again, we're going to do 2 pre-drilled holes on both sides of this 2x4, and then we'll toenail it in with the 3-inch screws. And then once it's fully screwed together, we're going to start with the tin. We have to cut these 8-foot pieces of tin down to 93 3 inches to give us room inside the boards. So we just used a circular saw, the same blade. Make sure you're wearing safety glasses and a glove, and make sure anybody that's helping you is definitely looking away. As you can see, is shielding their face. Just like a circular saw will throw wood chips, it is going to throw metal chips everywhere. The metal's really thin, so it will cut through it really easy, but just have to be, really safe with it. So think safety first. It cuts it right through it. That's our first 8-foot board, and then we'll move around and screw it right in. So we'll just do one side at a time, put a couple screws in it, and we'll move to the next side, put a couple screws in it in case we need to adjust some lengths in it as we go along. But it should be 2 93-inch sides and 2 43-inch sides. All right, so we put on each end, each 43-inch piece, we put at least 6 screws on each piece of tin. So 2 on each, 1 on each corner, and then 2 in the middle, 1 in the top, 1 in the bottom, just to help hold it good and structurally strong. Keep anything from peeling out away from the wood. Remember, you want your tin at the top to be facing in towards the wood and not facing out, so that way you can grab your hand right along the top and it won't cut you. You're going to be reaching across this thing an awful lot, and you don't want any tin to be scratching you or cutting you. Tin is very sharp. We also set it down about a 1/2 inch below the top of the wood, so that way as you drag your arm across the wood when you're pulling weeds, your arm will always be touching the wood, just as another safety precaution. It's finished. Alright, so this is what the finished product looks like.
Oh yeah.
Not a carpenter, but I think it looks pretty doggone good. 4 foot by 8 foot. Standard piece tall. It's basically 2 foot tall. So everything's tried to keep it as standard as possible. We did have to cut the tin, but it's just stuff you gotta do. But I think it's pretty sound. Like a rock.